welcome to another episode of Life on the Lick Run. Now we're back here with the grader finally. Those of you who have watched the video of standing this grader up will know what we're talking about, but those of you who haven't watched that, then well, I'll leave a link in the description so that you can go back and watch the episode of where we stood this grader upright after it was rolled down the side of the hill, and it sat there for 3 years. It sat there down the side of the hill until we finally got and was able to pull it back upright. And I've just left everything sitting here for a few months, and I finally got a chance to come back here and have a bit of a go at it. I just wanted to leave the grader stand upright so that then all the oil in the top of the motor had a chance to flow back. One fella told me, he said there's probably going to be oil in the flashing light. So I said that's probably about right too. I just started pulling a few things off here. The air cleaner here, it's been, as you can see, you might be able to see all the oil here, and the inner cleaner is even worse. It's just completely packed with oil, and all that's started to run through since it's been sitting upright. So that's a good sign, I think, because everything's starting to flow back to where it should go. As you would have seen, I've just had to tow the spare wheel. When the grader went over the edge and it went down to this spot here, and then it rolled, and the spare wheel came off the tie carrier and it rolled down the bottom of the gorge. And because I jumped and I landed in amongst the rocks, and when I stood back up and I watched the grader just going over the edge, and I couldn't see it anymore after that. But then when I heard the great big bang when it went over onto its side, I looked, and all I could see coming up into my vision was this wheel, and then it'd disappear for a bit, and then it'd reappear, and I thought it was something. I thought it was one of the wheels that snapped off the grader, but I found out after, like, once I went and investigated, I realised it was the wheel off the tie carrier. And it went down into the bottom of the gorge, and it was just going up, like probably, I reckon about 40 foot in the air, and just going back down again, and then bouncing up again. And it just did that until eventually it come to rest down in the bottom. And so we're on this road that I pushed in last year with the dozer. I was able to get down there with the car, and then I had to roll the tyre out along the bottom of the gully until I could get it to the road, and then I hooked it with the car and dragged it up here, because there was a couple of tyres that went flat while it was sitting upside down here. So I've just started to muck around here, went and got that spare so I can start to change some tyres. And over the next little while, I've got a fair bit going on the rest of my work at the moment. So as I get a chance over the next a few weeks, hopefully I'll just spend a little bit of time here whenever I can, and I'll have a go at getting the grader going. I'm going to see if I've got enough special tools to pull the injectors out, and once I get the injectors pulled out, then I'll have a go at turning the motor over, because I just want to make sure that if there is any oil still in the top of the motor, then we want the injectors out so it can be blown out. Otherwise you'll end up bending the conrods if there's still oil in the top of the pots. So I'll just document the process as I go along, and we'll see how we go of getting it going. I'm back here again today. It's been a little while since I've been back here because we've had bushfires and that. We've been fighting bushfires on Dolthara here for the last few weeks and whatnot. So we've had some rain now, which has put the fires out, and place is looking a bit greener. And so I've got a few days spare again at the moment. So I got back here this morning and gonna have another go at this thing. So I'm thinking I might take the bonnet off first, and then so I can get in there, and then I'll start to pull things apart and see whether I can get the injectors out. I haven't got the special tool to get the injectors out, so I've got an old spanner there, a 15/16 spanner that I'm going to try and cut down and make up a special tool to get the injectors out, but I don't know whether that's going to work or not. So we'll see how we go today. So first job is I'm going to pull the bonnet off. So I've just taken off the air intake line into the back of the turbo here, and just to check for oil, and yeah, so there's all oil just sitting here just in front of the turbo. So I'm just going to get this rag in here and clean that out. And then I'm going to get this line that I've taken off, the air intake line, and I'm going to wash that out with petrol to get all the oil out of that as well. Turbo is spinning freely, so that's good. So I'm going to try and make up this special tool here now to get the injectors out. Got this old 15/16 spanner here. It's already been bent and sort of wrecked, so that's why I'm not worried about cutting this one up and destroying it. So I've got to cut a piece out of the end so I can slide that onto the injector and then drop it down on the nut. So I'm going to do that first, and then I've got to work out what sort of a handle I've got to weld onto that so I can get it down in there far enough, and the handle will sort of come back up at a more of a steeper angle. So I'm just going to do that now, and we'll see whether it's going to work. So I've just tried that on an injector. That fits, and I was able to get it onto the injector, and then I'd be able to slide it down on the nut. The one I just tried, it just started to move it, so I think it's going to be a success. The internet forums and stuff that I looked at for these old motors, they all say that sometimes you'll get a real tight injector that you just simply can't get out. So we're just going to go ahead and just pull out whatever we can of the injectors, and then the ones that we can't, we're just going to have to leave them behind. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to cut this old bent handle here, and I'm just going to re-weld it back on and have a sort of a steeper angle so I can get it easier down in to fit into the injectors. And then we'll have to just pull all the injector lines off and then go through and see what we can get out. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to cut this off and re-weld this handle on. Okay, so just to catch us up, I went ahead, I had to pull off all the air cleaner assembly, and then once I got that out of the road, then I could get into the injector lines, pulled them out, then I could get to the injectors. So out of the 6, I was able to get 4 of them. So there's 2 that I couldn't do anything with. They're just seized there. The actual injector is moving in the motor, but I can't get the nut to move. That's like the swivel nut on the injector. So I tried for a fair while, couldn't get them to move. So I then, once I done all that, I then got the fan and held the fan and turned that, and I've turned the motor 1 full revolution just by the fan. Now you got to remember, this motor hasn't gone for a fair few years now, so I wasn't 100% sure whether it was going to turn over, even because it had sat there on its side for 3 years. So I'm pleased that the motor's moving freely. Like I say, I haven't been able to get out 2 of the injectors, but I've turned the motor 1 full revolution by hand. So I've just put batteries in, and now I'm just gonna hit the key a couple of times really briefly and just see what we can do with turning the motor over by the starter, and see if there's any oil coming out through the injector ports. Alright, so that worked. A little bit of oil come out. I don't know whether the camera can just show there. A bit of black there at the top of each port, each injector port. Little bit of oil come out of each one, but nothing too much. So that's good, because it meant that them other ones that I couldn't get the injectors out will be okay. So what I'm going to do now is just start to put it all back together, put the injectors back in, and then put everything back together, and then hopefully we'll then, yeah, once I get all that done, I'll see whether we can actually get it to fire up then. I've got it all back together. I just haven't put the bonnet back on yet, just in case I find more things that I need to do yet. But we've got the injector lines back on, air cleaner assembly, but because I haven't put the bonnet back on, I haven't put the muffler back on yet, because the muffler is the last thing to go on. So I've just bled it. I've put some fuel in it, I've bled it. It'll take a fair bit to get that fuel through, because I've taken the injector lines off and all that. So I've left one injector line loose, so I'm just going to wind it over for a bit and see if it'll fire up. No go. Started to just wind these batteries flat a bit, so I'm just going to put the jumper leads on them for a while, charge them back up, and I'll try again. Ah, well, that's good. Finally got it going again. Now, you got to remember that this grader hasn't been running for about 4 years. It was about 4 years ago that the accident happened here, and 12 months ago is when I stood it back up. I got the dozer in here. Those of you who saw that video will know what I'm talking about. I got the dozer in here, put this side cut. The grader was actually just here in front of where it is now. That's where the accident, well, that's where it went over. And then so put this side cut in here with the dozer behind it, and we pulled it upright with the dozer, and then we dragged it back onto the flat side cut here on the side of the hill with the dozer. And that was 12 months ago. So it's been about 4 years since that motor's been running, and I really had no idea whether it was going to go or not. But you know, these old motors, it's fly by the seat of your pants sort of stuff. If you've got, you know, you got fuel supply, air supply, well, there's not much more that can go wrong. So it was having a bit of trouble there getting going, because I just pulled everything out, you know, so it had to pump the fuel right up through all the lines and that from the fuel pump. So I wound it over a little bit, and then I didn't actually show it on the camera, but I put a cap full of petrol down the air intake to just before I got it going that time. That's what fired it up. I usually have a can of Aerostart on hand, but I didn't have any with me, so a bit of petrol does the same job. So I poured that down the air cleaner and she fired up, and yeah, there was a bit of soot come out of it there a couple of times. It's still just showing that there's still a bit of oil in places where there shouldn't be oil, so that'll iron itself out over time. I got on it there, I lifted the blade frame up. Now, those of you who saw the video of the recovery will remember that I had to pull the blade off when we stood it back up, because the blade was going to get in the road. So there's no actual blade on it. There's only the circle and assembly there. So at least all that still works. I was able to lift that up, and I just tried to drive it there a little bit backwards and forwards. I didn't really want to go too far because it's got 2 flat tires. So that's next job now, is to sort these tires out. I'm going to take one of them off, put the spare on, and take that home and fix it, and then bring it back and put that on the other flat tire. So then I'll be able to get pumped up tires all the way around, and then I'm hoping to drive it out of here. So I'm going to sign off on this one at the moment, but I'm nearly ready to go. Well, once I swap a wheel over, I'll go home. It's starting to get late in the afternoon here, so I'll come back and tomorrow or some point, and then I'm going to put that other wheel back on here, and I'm going to hopefully drive it out of here. But it's quite steep. All this hilly country here is real steep getting it out, so hope to do a little bit of footage of the trip out of here. So that will be next day. we've had some more problems. As I was driving at home, we're not all that far from the house now, and I'm coming along here, and suddenly one wheel locked up, and yeah, went backwards and forwards a couple of times, and could see it was sort of going a little bit one way and then it'd lock up, a little bit back the other way and lock up. So I said, oh, it's got to be the chain in the tandem. So I pulled the cover off the top of the tandem there and looked in, and yeah, sure enough, what's happened is the joiner where the chain joins together has come apart. I saw that floating around down the bottom of the tandem there, this piece here. So got to find the rest of it yet in there somewhere. So I'll have to jack this wheel up, and then I'm going to be able to get in there to then be able to turn the wheel and untangle the chain that's wrapped up around the sprocket, and we'll get the chain stretched out in there, and then we'll try and find the rest of the joiner, and then we can put it back together and we'll continue on the way. Okay, so I went digging around in the tandem and I found a few more problems than what I first originally realized. Let me show you what I found. Okay, so there's the chain there. As you can see, it's stretched out along the top of the tandem, and these heads of these bolts is what I found inside the tandem. So I realized that wasn't a very good thing to find, and when I went digging down inside there, it's too dark to see down in there properly, but once I went feeling around down inside and I got a torch down inside the tandem, I realized that where the tandem mounts on to the diff housing is where them bolts have been broken off. Now if we go around here to have a look at the inside of this chain, you can start to see where the damage is along the inside of the chain here, where it's grabbed them bolts and broke them off. So after I looked at it for a while and tried to figure out what had happened, I think I've worked it out. So what I believe's happened is when the accident happened and the grader rolled onto its side, I think the tandem, because this was the top side, so it's flicked up as it's hit the ground on the other side, and these wheels would have still been going around fairly fast, and I think with the chain being loose and on its side, and that's made it dig into the bottom side or the inside of the housing of the tandem housing, and it's grabbed them bolts and tore them off. You can see the marks down there on the inside of the housing where the chain has actually dug into the housing, and them bolts stick out just a little bit out off on the inside of the housing, and I think that's what's happened. It's grabbed them and ripped them off, and that's what's caused the damage. So this tandem, when you look at it front on, you realize that it is tilted out a little bit, and I hadn't noticed that before this. This chain, what I believe's happened with this chain, how it's come apart, is when that had done that, it's like rubbed down the inside of the housing and ripped the bolt heads off. I think it's also broken off the split pins that hold that joiner together in the chain, and then it's just fell out. It somehow stayed together all the way from where the accident happened to here, nearly back to the house, and then it's finally just broken apart. There would have been no damage done because I was only going slow just along here when it actually fell apart, luckily, so it wouldn't have done any damage at all when the chain come off here. The damage was done in the accident when the grader rolled over. So I'm gonna just nurse it home. I decided to pull this chain out now, just take it out, and I'll just take it home on 3 chains, and then once I run it into the shed at home, that's when I'll start to do some repairs on it, and now I realise I've got to take this whole tandem off and put new bolts in there, otherwise it's gonna fall off. There's 12 bolts holding it on, and I've counted 7 that have been broken off. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to put this back together, and I'm just going to take the grader home the rest of the way just on 3 chains. I got the grader home. Now the blade and bonnet and a couple of spare wheels are all still down there where the grader was. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tank off the lick truck, lift it off with the crane, and then that'll free up the bed of the truck, and then I'm going to take the lick truck down to where the grader was and use the crane to lift on the blade and all that stuff that's still down there. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to lift this tank off, and then we'll go. Alright, so I've got all that loaded on, made it a bit easier with the crane, and now I'm just going to take it back to the house, and yeah, over the next coming weeks I'm going to put it all back together, put the blade back on the grader, and do them few jobs. We've got to renew the rubbers on the return lines on the injectors. That's why I didn't bother putting the bonnet back on, because when I put the injectors back together, I found that some of the rubbers were starting to perish, getting a bit perished, so I left the bonnet off so I could do that. So I'll order new rubbers, put them on, put the bonnet back on, put the blade on. I'll have to pull off that tandem at some stage to replace them bolts on the inside there. So that's about all I got on this one for now, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.